Welcome everyone. I'm Zev Schoenberg with the product marketing team here at Spot. And today we will be taking a deep dive into our newest offering, Cloud Analyzer. But first, a bit of history. When Spot, previously called Spotins, got started back in 2015, we were completely different from all the other cloud cost management companies out there. While they were focused on dashboards and reports that made it easier to understand your cloud spend and where you could potentially reduce those costs, we dove right into the hard part and actually took the responsibility of optimizing your cloud costs. Today as well, our focus is on helping you run your workloads reliably and easily on Spot instances, as well as on reserve capacity, such as RIs and savings plans. During this webinar, though, we'll be focusing on Cloud Analyzer, our brand new cloud cost and visibility portal, which complements all the functionality that we've been providing up until today. The significance of this is that we are now offering an end-to-end cloud cost management solution where you can start with deep visibility into all your cloud spend for AWS, Azure, GCP, and from there, seamlessly implement any optimization recommendations that we're providing with one of our other tools, one of our other solutions for auto scaling groups, Kubernetes, stateful workloads, reserve capacity. Just connect with that, with those solutions and optimize your workloads in an automated fashion so you'll be running the most cost-efficient cloud possible. So now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into our Cloud Analyzer. It's going to be a live demo today. I'm going to be sharing the actual functionality that we have there. During this session, we'll be primarily covering what Cloud Analyzer provides for you and how it is integrated with all of our other solutions for cost optimization. So without further ado, let's just jump right in over here. As you can see, we're here at the Spot dashboard, where on the left-hand side, you can see the navigation for all of our different products. But we're going to be focusing, like I mentioned, just on Cloud Analyzer. And this is really the portal to your entire cloud ecosystem. And here, the first section, we have cost analysis, and we have trends and notifications and optimization. We'll be covering all of these areas today. So over here at the top line, you can see that we're showing you the high level spend stats, how much you spent month to date, whether you've gone up or down percentage-wise from the previous month. We have projected costs. We're going to be looking at exactly what you're spending or what you potentially will be spending based on your historic spend for the last period. And then, of course, the areas where we can improve. If there were missed savings that occurred in the last week, we will highlight that for you. And it's very important because throughout this session, when we're talking about potential savings, we're going to be talking about a comparison between running your workloads on demand versus running them on Spot instances or reserved instances and savings plans. So those are always the comparisons. So over here, we're looking at an aggregate kind of view of what you could have potentially saved had you been running either on demand or reserved. Right below that over here, you can see we have you can view all your accounts, by the way. You can see over here, view all of your accounts, but you also have the top 10 accounts in terms of spend and how efficient they are. Now, the reason why this is so important is because knowing how much you're spending in the cloud is great. You might be spending a lot of money, but the real question is not how much are you actually spending, but rather how efficient is that spend. So over here, you can see for each of these accounts, the efficiency level. So for Spotins production, we've got almost 81% optimization level. We show over here as well the potential additional savings that could be achieved. Down here, however, for the incubation labs, we see that we only have 13.5% optimization level. There's a lot of work to be done, or a lot that can be done to improve the situation. And again, over here, we show you what the additional savings are that you could achieve. Now, as an aside, you'll notice over here that some of the accounts say view, and some of them have this little paperclip that says connect. Essentially, for the Cloud Analyzer, all we really need are the read-only credentials to be able to see your cost and usage reports from Amazon or from other cloud providers. So, once we have that, we're able to give you full visibility, slice and dice your data, as we'll see in a few moments. But if you want Spot to go ahead and actually take the next step and help you automate these recommendations, the recommendations that we'll be seeing, implement these types of cost savings for you. So then we do require additional level of permission to be able to manage your workloads for you, run them on Spot instances, so on and so forth. To round out the picture here for the visibility, you can see, the top counts, the top spenders in your environment. So here we're just looking at the actual spend, how much each particular account has been spending over the last 30 days. So you see here, Spot-Ins production spent 92,000, so on and so forth. You can see the breakdown over there. Now, if you want to get into a lot more, detail of what exactly is going on, who is spending what, how much they're spending, what are they spending on, so then you come down here to the spend analysis. And what you can see is that there are various ways to break this data down. So at the top level, you have these groupings. You have accounts, tags, services, life cycle, usage type group. Right below that, you can filter either by all accounts or by the various cloud services, and of course, by the time frame. And below that, we have over here just a legend, which allows you to be even more fine-tuned in exactly what you're looking at in the report. Let's just take an example over here, and we'll look at the usage type group. We'll group the cost in that way. And then I only want to look at EC2, so I'll go over here and I'll search for EC2, and I'll select it. Oops. And here we go. And it's going to refresh, and it's now going to show me just my EC2 spend, but broken down by the various subcomponents, the different usage types within EC2. So I can see I have data transfer costs, I have some EBS costs, I have running hours, so on and so forth. If I want to now get rid of some of these, let's say I'm not really interested in data transfer for inter-AZ, inter-availability zone data transfer, I'll just deselect that, and it will remove it from the graph. Let's say I want to look at some tags. We definitely, like everyone else, we're big proponents of using tagging to help you get better visibility into your spend. So you can simply go ahead and select a tag key. I'm going to use creator. I can see all the different values over here. So I can see, whether it was, I see the DevOps at Spot-Ins, that particular tag, all the resources tagged with that. That's clearly a big chunk out of all my spend. But of course, I could see every single tagged group in here. So moving along, you can see over here, there's a table that has all of the data from the graph above, so you can see it there. And of course, the table will reflect all the modifications, all the groupings, all the filtering that you do above, so you can see the data exactly in the filter in the way that you want. You can export that data, you can share it with others, etc. Now, this is not actually part of Cloud Analyzer at this point in time. But for those of you that are using, that are running Kubernetes workloads, EKS, KOPS, or ECS, basically any containerized orchestration platform. So one of our solutions is Ocean by Spot, and Ocean allows you to run all of these containerized workloads on Spot instances to help you, create significant savings. But more than that, Ocean actually goes ahead and removes a very significant portion of the infrastructure management, making it very easy to manage your clusters. You just literally set and forget. Now, I'm not going to talk about Ocean. This demo, this webinar is specifically about Cloud Analyzer, but when you're dealing with containerized workloads, there's a whole new world of pain when trying to do cost analysis, when trying to do chargeback or showback. So we've come along and we've provided very container-specific, Kubernetes-specific cost analysis. But before we get into that, just very quickly here, you can see we've taken one cluster out of the environment, and you can just see, these are the potential costs. This is what it would have cost you running this cluster on demand. This is what it actually cost you when we ran it for you on spot instances, giving you a roughly 65% savings, or about $46,000 saved over the past month. All fine and good, but coming back to our cost analysis and the focus of visibility here. So for the ocean or for the containerized workloads, we give you a very special kind of view over here in cost analysis, where you're really able to take the cluster and break it down by Kubernetes specific objects. So you can take your cost, you could break it down by namespace. You could take it and you can break it down by namespaces that have a certain label, that have been grouped by a label, or namespaces that have been associated with a certain annotation, or you can take resources that have associated with a particular label or with a particular annotation. And this allows you to really get an excellent way to break down your Kubernetes clusters, understand who is spending what each application or project is costing you within that environment. You'll see over here down below, I can just open up the namespaces and see each and every one. What type of object is it? A deployment. Most of these are deployments, but again, it's giving you a very cloud native way of looking at your spend for Kubernetes or other containerized workloads. Now, coming back to our regular scheduled program, talking about Cloud Analyzer, the next area that we want to focus on is trends and notifications. This is really just helping us get a sense of what's normal in our environment and what's irregular or anomalous. We don't want to get any surprises at the end of the month. We don't want to get surprises at any point in time, because we may be spending some, on some project or on some resource that we weren't expecting to, or that we didn't know about. So this really helps you keep rogue spending under control. Now, what's really special about this is that we don't want you to just, have these predefined anomalies that we think are anomalous. We want to give you the control to decide what's truly an anomaly and what's not. So before we even get started with looking at the features here, I want to show you how you can control that so you can reduce noise. You don't want to get spammed with events or incidents that really are totally fine. You only want to be notified when there's something that is truly irregular and anomalous. So we do have predefined anomalies. We have three, or events. There are three of those. These are all based on, for all services, based on daily, weekly, and monthly anomalies. So we'll be providing those out of the box. But even for those, you can go ahead and you can edit those to suit exactly what you consider to be an anomaly or not. So over here I see, it's defined. This is a daily one. Like I mentioned, we have also weekly and monthly. I can go ahead and I can edit this. And even though I can't change any of the other aspects, I could change the threshold. So if I want, if 10% deviation from the norm is not significant, I can go ahead and change this, make it 20%, 30%, whatever it is, until you're comfortable and you're getting to a point where the events that we're showing you are only events that are actually meaningful. Similarly, if you want to ignore downward trends, downward movement in your spend, I don't care. You want to spend less money? That's fantastic. Don't tell me about it. I don't need to know. So then you can go ahead and select ignore any cost decrease. Of course, if cost decreases in your organization could signify that something went wrong, so you may want to keep that unchecked and stay on top of that. But we give you that level of control. Now, in addition to the regular cloud services like EC2 and RDS and whatever, all the different services that you may be using, there may be other areas or other categorizations or groupings that you want to keep track of. So for example, we have tags. You may be tagging your resources. Hopefully you are. So you'll be tagging them with projects, with business teams, with other organizations, with applications, whatever it may be. You may want to, I want to know that project XYZ has all of a sudden its cost has shot through the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a tag. I'm going to tag it, and I'll be able to now go ahead and define an anomalous event based on that. Over here, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to use Roman. He's one of our developers over here. That's going to be the tag, and this is Roman's stuff. And now I want to go ahead and I'm going to select the keys that I have in my environment, and the way we, the key that we have for that is a creator, and then all the different teams, all the different people. So I have Roman over here, and now anytime any resources within my organization that are tagged with Roman have some sort of deviation, and over here I can select whether I want to be looking at a daily, weekly, or monthly scope, meaning I want to look at a time frame. I want my anomaly to be determined based on a specific time frame, either of a day, week, or a month. I select that, and again, I can select the threshold. What's considered to be an anomaly is going to be 10%, 20%. I get to select all that and go ahead and create that. And now anytime Roman goes ahead and he spends more than he's supposed to be spending, I will be notified of that event. So that was a kind of long introduction, but I think it's important just to show the flexibility that we provide here in the tool. So coming right back into the dashboard, you can see all of the various accounts and tags, what they're spending. And here you have the shout outs. Whenever there's going to be something which is irregular, you can see over here, Spot Incubation Labs increased by 30%, another $4 from when comparing to what it spent yesterday on Amazon EC2. So if I want to drill down to any one of these events over here, I can find them in this table. Again, it's just showing you the top ones. You can also see all events, but we're just limiting it to the most important ones that we have over here. So you can see here that I've drilled into this particular incident that occurred. I can see that over here, all of a sudden we had a $182 increase in spend, pretty significant, about 30% higher than the norm. We were expecting only 68 to 139. That would be the normal expected cost, but instead we see that it's 30% higher. So that's definitely worthy of our attention. And down here, you can see a breakdown of what is contributing to that spike. So within EC2, there are, like we saw before, a lot of different usage types. We're breaking it down by the usage type. And you can see the various contributors to this spike in EC2 cost. Finally, we come to, I guess, this is what really sets us apart, and what's really unique about us is that we're not just showing you how much you're spending or where you can improve, or here are some recommendations, go ahead and buy these reserved instances or savings plans. That's not what we're about. This is a portal where we start with that, but that's just the beginning. We're showing you what we're spending, we're showing you where you can improve, how efficient you are, but ultimately this is all with the focus of seamlessly bringing you to the actual implementation or the automation of that optimization. So this is where the magic happens. So again, we're doing a high level overview. We have the compute overview. We're showing you, this is where you could have done better. And again, there are two tracks here. We can either go with spot instances or we can go with reservations. So we're showing you what you potentially could have saved with using spot instances and what you could have potentially saved using RIs. And we have that breakdown again over here by account. For each account, for spot ins production, clearly there's a lot of work that can be done. And again, we have the option of going either route. Depending on the workload, you may opt for reservations, you may opt for spot instances. For both of them, we have Elastic Group and Ocean for spot instances, and we have Eco for reserve capacity. And both of these, all of these solutions are there to automate and simplify the process, make sure you get the maximum savings with the minimal amount of headache and involvement on your part. Over here, we have just a quick overview of what the life cycle breakdown for us in our environment. Most of our workloads are running on spot instances. We have 10% that are running on reserve capacity. And then there's always going to be a part that's running on demand. One of the nice functionalities, one of the nice features that we have is automatic fallback to on demand in the event that a spot market, a spot instance is going to be interrupted. We're able to predict that well in advance and gracefully drain your workload and move it on to an appropriate on-demand instance. Keep it there until a spot instance opens up that makes sense for you to move it back to. When it makes sense, again, there's a lot going on there. but it really, we use the perfect blend of all the available pricing options to make sure that you're always reaching a full optimization. So that's why you're seeing this breakdown over here. Again, a fantastic way to get a high level reporting. We can see cost efficiency over time. So for example, we see that there was spot and slabs. They were reasonably optimized. And then around March 1st, they were really very highly optimized, 95%. And then something happened. Either there was a mass expiration of reserved instances, or for whatever reasons, they had to move the workload off of spot and onto on demand. So you see there's a massive drop here in cost efficiency. On the other hand, for spot and CI, they were a little over 50% optimized, and with time, they've gone better and better. Now they're almost 90% optimized through the usage of spot instances and reservations. Now, finally, wrapping things up, we come down to the actual types of workloads. So here we have containerized workloads. We can go in there and see the recommendations that can be implemented. In this particular environment that I'm doing the demo on, there are no containerized workloads. I apologize for that. We do have auto-scaling group, workloads that are associated with auto-scaling. That's reflected by Elastic applications. And finally, we have reservations. These are workloads that are running on reserved capacity. Just for the sake of showcasing what we do here, I'm going to go into Elastic applications. And here is where we're really getting down to the finish line. So we're showing you for all the workloads that are running with auto-scaling groups, here's the breakdown. You have the savings that you could have achieved last week. Here are the running hours. Here are the potential monthly savings. Here are the potential annual savings, trying to get you into a place where this is where I'm at, and this is where I should be going. And then we start to break it down by the various workloads in this particular environment. So we have some ELB, we have some auto-scaling groups, ALB, we have some Beanstalk. These are all these auto-scaling types of workloads. And down here, you see the full list of all the different workloads that we have in this particular area. You can see the instance types. You can see, once again, the monthly savings, by percentage, so on and so forth. And finally, we get to the point where we could just, by the click of a button, we can get started, and Spot will take this workload that's currently running in your environment in AWS or elsewhere. Again, we work with Azure and GCP, Google Cloud, and we'll actually go and replicate the workload, running it on Spot instances, so that way you can achieve those savings without having to lift a finger or do much more than clicking on the button. But before we click on get started, I just wanted to just mention just one small point over here. There may be some workloads that you have no interest in running on Spot instances. It could be for various reasons. Maybe they're highly sensitive, I don't know. But you don't want them to run on Spot, so you can go ahead and select them. And then you could just say exclude from Spot. So now when I click on exclude from Spot, it's going to do two things. Number one, it's going to gray this out so I can no longer, no one will make a mistake and accidentally run this on Spot instances. And number two, it's going to impact the top line over here, where we're talking about your potential savings. Over here, we're talking about 635 estimated monthly savings. As soon as I go ahead and I exclude this, it's now going to drop below 600 down to 590 or something. Yeah, here you go. So the estimated monthly savings are now 589 because I've excluded that particular workload, and I'm telling Spot, I'm not interested in this running on Spot instances, so we're not going to bother you. We're not going to, for reporting purposes, we're taking it out. And as you can see, it's all grayed out, so no one will accidentally go ahead and run this on Spot instances. On the other hand, if there is a workload that you want to run on Spot instances, all you need to do is click get started, and we'll take care of the rest. And you can see over here, Cloud Analyzer, what's going to happen at this point is we're going to take this workload that's running now in US East 1. We're going to replicate it using, running it in our own environment using Spot Elastic Group. The original environment that you have is not going to be affected at all. Once you are happy and confident, and all of our customers are, that we're running it smoothly, reliably, and it's healthy, At that point, you can go ahead and delete the original group that's running on demand. And from that point on, Spot will go ahead and manage this workload for you, running it on Spot instances, on reservations if you desire to add that to the blend, and keeping it highly efficient, both in terms of cost, both in terms of utilization of all the resources, and making sure that you yourself, your team, your colleagues, if you're in DevOps, do not have to spend inordinate amounts of time managing your infrastructure, and instead you can focus on running your applications, running your containers, whatever it may be, without having to deal with the nitty-gritty details of running and managing the infrastructure yourself. Certainly not on Spot instances. So this really brings me to the conclusion here. In summary, whether you're running containerized workloads, stateful applications, or maybe even using reserved instances, what Cloud Analyzer provides you is not just that deep visibility into your spend and usage, but it gives you that ability to automate continuous optimization of your cloud costs. I think we definitely have some time for some Q&A. So for the first question that I have here from Jack is what type of credentials are needed for Cloud Analyzer? So that's a great question. It's pretty straightforward. Cloud Analyzer is collecting the data from, in the case of AWS, from the cost and usage reports. The credentials for the S3 bucket that contain the Cur files are basically what we needed. Once we have that, we're able to provide you with all this information. But I have another question here. Who would benefit most from Cloud Analyzer? That's really a great question. I was really focusing more on the technical aspect, but just stepping back a second and looking at the bigger picture. So again, like historically, we're coming from a place where we were very much, in the weeds, focusing on the management of your workloads, on running them on Spot instances and all that. So our main clientele were people with a lot of technical experience, typically DevOps, IT, that kind of stuff. So, but taking a step back with Cloud Analyzer, it definitely helps those teams, those original teams of DevOps engineers. They're going to enjoy the ability to drill down into the anomalies, understand what's the source of any cost, irregularities. Certainly, the ability to go ahead and if there's a someone with a P&L, profit and loss responsibility on the DevOps side or on the engineering side, they're going to love the fact that they can now go and see where they're able to optimize and actually implement it with just a few clicks and increase their savings. So definitely, still the DevOps and the technical side of the organization will benefit, but also Cloud Analyzer is now giving the financial side. There's an emerging term, FinOps. And even just pure finance, it gives them that visibility, the confidence to understand what is going on in the cloud, who's spending what on what, so that they can intelligently communicate with their counterparts in engineering and DevOps and IT to make sure that they're running a tight ship. We have Lyle wants to know how much time I have to wait before I can see data in Cloud Analyzer. So we're getting the data from the cloud providers, from the in the case of Amazon, we're getting it from the cost and usage reports. We have to wait about 24 hours for the cloud provider to give us that data. So there's typically a 24-hour lag. On top of that, we have our own processing. So we're looking for or we're expecting anywhere between 25 to 28-hour lag. We're shortening it as time goes on. But it's never going to be anything less than the time that it takes for Amazon or Azure or GCP to provide us with the data. So again, on average, it's a little bit more than 1 day. So once you have a couple of days of data, you're already fairly populated, and you can get to work. All right. I see over here, is there a plan to launch Cloud Analyzer for Azure? When is that? So my product team is telling me that the end of Q4, towards the end of this year. We're also planning to support, in addition to supporting Azure, we're going to be supporting GCP, Google Cloud. And I just want to emphasize that based on, as with any releases, based on the demand that we're seeing from our existing customers, that could either bump it up or delay it, depending on that level of prioritization. But as things stand, by the end of this year, we should have it launched for Azure and for GCP. Okay, I have another question. What is the price of Cloud Analyzer? So this is great. Cloud Analyzer today is free. The reason for this is because the part of the pricing model that we've had historically till today is that you don't actually pay for anything in Spot. If we help you save money, we charge you a percentage of of the savings that we actually achieved. So it was almost a no-brainer for most of our customers. And when we came up with Cloud Analyzer, it really was just an add-on. I don't want to say add-on, but it was to round out the picture, to give a full platform from end to end. But the real way that we're looking to work with our customers is to to grow with them, and as they're increasing their savings, so too we benefit and base our revenue off of the savings that they achieve. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's Cloud Analyzer in a nutshell. I hope this was helpful for all of you. Looking forward to hearing from all of you in the coming days and weeks. And everyone, please stay safe. Have a good one.